Good morning, everyone. Happy race day. NASCAR is back. Thanks for joining me on the live show. Things going to be looking just a little bit different here. Just adjust to the screen. Still can't do screen share at this time. Having trouble with the program getting it to, not buffer and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to continue doing it like this. If you've got a copy of my cheat sheet, make sure to bring that up. I'm going to be referencing it as well. So if you have any questions about it, I can definitely help you there. Yeah, Daytona week. How's everyone doing? Throwing where you're from, maybe down on the bottom. If you're going to the race, if you're going to any races this year, definitely let me know. If you can't hear me, let me know as well. I can definitely try and adjust things here. But I'm going to first start out something I added this morning to the Busch Clash sheet, and I will be adding to the Daytona 500 sheet as well, is just to look at the DraftKings average points in terms of starting position as well, because place differential is going to be huge, especially at a race like this. I mean, I didn't even look at practice. I didn't even add it to my sheet. Generally, it comes down to loading up on drivers starting. I think this race, we've got 17 drivers out there today for this race, 18 drivers, sorry. So I'm going to be looking mainly at drivers, from a general strategy standpoint, guys starting 12th to 18th. It's kind of what I am looking for there. I mean, to be more contrarian, you can definitely start loading up on guys, starting inside, 5th to 10th, somewhere in there for the most part. If I'm doing 20 lineups in the 20 max, especially on DraftKings there, I'm probably going to avoid the top 5 pretty much altogether, complete fade for me. So that's probably what I'm going to do there. Before I get into any more picks, like I mentioned in the chat there, kind of working with 3 different sites here for the live show. So make sure to check out the content for each and every one. First of all, we'll start out with Roto Pros. I'm doing content there. I've got Dane Chanot. He's helping me this year. We're going to be doing some podcasts as well. If you've been checking it out, we've got a podcast there for PGA as well. We've been doing each and every week. We've done episode 3 now. Next week is the Genesis Invitational. So we will be doing another one for that, looking at, we break down the course, mainly strategies, a little bit less on going through the whole entire player pool. We kind of do that in chat and with the cheat sheet there as well. So we kind of look at strategies. We're going to do the same thing for NASCAR every week. We're going to kind of break down the track and track type and what kind of drivers are going to do well there. It's going to be a pre-qualifying podcast most likely, and then I'll be doing a live video again on Sundays, just like this for NASCAR. So that's the way that's going to go. Dane also I provided the link over there in chat. He's got a season preview article with some. He's looking at driver crew chief changes, scheduling changes, that sort of thing. He looks at some strategy for different types of tracks going into DFS NASCAR. If you're new, definitely check that out. That's over on rotopros.com on the website. And then I'm also here for dailyfantasysportsrankings.com. I've been there for about 5 years now. I don't have an article up for this week for the Busch Clash, but I will have a general strategy article coming out either later today or tomorrow, as well as I do an article every week, usually comes out Friday or Saturday, looking at my couple of my core plays, but mainly looking at track history, track type history, strategy for the week, that sort of stuff. So you can check that out over at dailyfantasysportsrankings.com, dfsr.com for short. Or third place, you can grab my sheet this year and some of my content that I will have out over on my Patreon page. So I'm just going to bring that address up and share that in chat as well. It was just a place for anyone that wasn't a DFSR member or wasn't a Roto Pros member that just kind of wanted access to the sheets. I've made this Patreon page. I do sheets for 6 sports. Usually there's 4 or 5 that overlap all at the same time. You can get that for $10 a month there as well, and I will provide that link in chat too. Hey, Jerry, how's it going? First chatter of the season. What up? Looking forward to another NASCAR season. Yeah, me too. It's going to be a lot more content this year, covering all 3 sites. Like I said, I'm going to have podcast and video, preview video, and then Dane's going to have articles over at Roto Pros and DFSR. I do that one article as well as the chat in there as well. I'm going to add a whole bunch of stuff to the sheet this season. And then, of course, I'm going to be doing the live show like this. It'll be hours before the race type. It'll be Sunday morning for those live shows. Hey, Movement. Morning, brother. So that's the 3 places you can get my content. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to me anytime. I'm going to give you that link to my Twitter bio as well. And then you can reach RotoPros as well. You can head over at RotoPros to get over to their site. I help do some of the content over there on social media. So definitely hit me up with questions there as well. Or at Daily Fantasy SR for DFSR there as well. You can hit me up there. I also help do some content there. So those are the three avenues you can go about getting my content. Reaching out to me via questions. You can answer questions in this YouTube below in this YouTube video, in the chat, pretty much anywhere. I'm available in all those chats pretty much 12 to 16 hours a day. How was the ARCA race? Oh, 3,100 views. That is pretty good. Where did you live stream it? Is that on like the motorsport.com? I kind of forget that website, but I was watching some of the K&N East and West races on a free streaming website last year. Totally legal. It was one of those legal ones. It was pretty damn good quality there too. It was nice to watch. So looked like it was not bad crowd there too. I've seen some highlights. But yeah, let's go back to the Busch Clash here. So yeah, like got a few more people in here so mainly my strategy, like I said, the qualifying was live draw last night. So they pretty much just draw names from the hat, and that's the way they set up. This is for drivers who won the pole, have won this race in the past. So it's a limited field. But we've got pricing up. I've added FanDuel pricing yesterday as well for anyone that had downloaded the sheet earlier in the week. Like I said before at the start of this video, I've added a little tab at the bottom of the sheet, DK average by starting position. That's just looking at all the different starting positions and how many points I've got over the last 10 Clash races. So you can just really see that place differential is key, because you look at the last 5 Clash races and the average points is 23rd starting position, 15th, 16th, 14th, 13th, 19th, and 17th. You don't get into a top 10 starting position until you get down just next. There's the 10th, and then it goes 11th, 12th, 21st, and then 9th, 7th, 8th. So as you can see, further back starting positions, that place differential in the shorter 70-lap race is definitely going to be key. And, if you are going to be crazy enough to play cash games, I would almost get 5 drivers starting 12th or worse in your cash games. It's very easy to build lineups today. Another thing that I'm going to be doing, I think makes a lot of sense, is leaving a lot of salary on the table in GBP. There's points where I'm leaving 2, 3, 4,000 on the table in some of these lineups. If you're doing 20 max, I'm definitely only using the salary in a very small percentage of those lineups. So I've also got on the sheet the last 10 races at the Clash. This is something I'll be adding a little bit more this season to the sheets, is looking at it more from a last 5 and last 10 races standpoint. Just to go, give you a little bit more data. It is, for most of the races, we are going to be, just looking back and referencing 2019 season, just simply because of the rules package used last year for the 1.5 mile tracks, especially. That's going to be a lot of the research you're going to find on the cheat sheet, is weighing stuff that we've seen it happen in 2019 in terms of laps led, dominators, place differential, that sort of thing. Short tracks are going to be going back. It's going to be kind of tough to compare to last year. So a larger sample size, I think, maybe your short tracks, your 1 mile tracks like Phoenix, and then your road courses as well, because they have taken the package, they've taken some downforce away. It's going to put a lot more emphasis back on the driver, so we can use a larger sample size to kind of get a feel of who are going to be the top short track drivers over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 races type thing. Best chance to win today. Anyone who starts their engine has a chance to win today in this race. It's just pretty much an insane. I think there's going to be some crashes. Jimmy won last year. Kozlowski won the year before. So Jimmy won from the 13th starting position. Kurt Busch was second from 19th. Brad Kozlowski won in 2018. He started from 17th. Then we had Joey Logano, who was third. They really worked together, those Fords. Kurt Busch was up there that year, Ryan Blaney. So you had those 3. So I think we will see some teams working together early on, but come, those last few laps, I think it's something that's just every driver for himself type thing, and anything can happen. We could see multiple crashes out there. It could be, I'm just kind of looking at cars in the lead lap last year. At the end of the race, there was 9 cars in the lead lap. The year before, there was 11, 12 the year before. So yeah, we're looking at about, on average about 8 to 12 cars left on the lead lap on that final lap of the race. And it's going to be a shootout for the win type thing. So I don't know. My pick to win, if you had to make me pick one driver who I think is going to win, I'd probably go Logano. He's just been amazing here. I've got probably the most exposure to him and Hamlin. Those are kind of my two main targets. They're the most expensive, but it's very easy to fit them this week. I mean, Hamlin starting dead last, so that gives you your max place differential upside. Logano at 13th, so he's kind of just outside that range of 12th to 18th that I talked about. But I'm definitely going to have a lot of Logano, especially looking at his last, let's say 7, because in 2012 and 2011 he finished 18th both those years at the Clash, and then after that he went 3rd, 4th, 6th, and then the last 4 years he's gone 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. He's also very good on the super speedways. I was going to say restrictor plate tracks. That's a little bit different now. Starting last year, the 2019 rules package, it's a tapered spacer. Pretty much the same thing. They're trying to accomplish the same thing and lowering that horsepower on these big tracks just to save cars coming off the track type thing. And, it's more of a safety thing. So they just call it different. So referring to the Talladegas Daytonas as super speedways rather than restrictor plate tracks going forward. So yeah, if I had to pick a winner, it would be Joey Logano. I think Kurt Busch and Ryan Blaney have a good chance there as well. I mean, everyone's got if there were odds released for this, I'm pretty sure they would all be, fairly close to each other. Who's actually going to win? You'd have your guys that are obviously like the Joey Logano, Blaney, guys like that, or who are going to be a little bit higher. Who've had success here, maybe had success on super speedways. But Blaney's finished 4th here in the last 2 years in his 2 races at the Clash. Kurt Busch, he up and down. He went through quite a long stretch where he finished outside the top 10 here. He's finished top 3 in each of the last 2 years. Alex Bowman's been top 5 in his only 2 races at the Clash. Jimmy won last year after 7 straight races outside the top 10. So, I mean, anyone who hasn't had success here, don't count them out because anything can happen. It's the Busch Clash. But like I said, for me, the 4 drivers that I'm really concentrating on building a core around, Logano, Hamlin, Blaney, and Kurt Busch. And then some other drivers that I like, Blaney and Busch, by the way, if you're not looking at the sheet, Blaney is starting 14th and Kurt Busch is starting 17th. I like Jimmy Johnson at 6,400 on DraftKings, 8,000 on FanDuel. I mean, he's starting 16th, so you get that place differential. Austin Dillon's min price both sites. He's starting 15th. Eric Jones is close to min price, 5,900 on DK. He's min price on FanDuel. He's starting 12th. So that's going to kind of be my core there, the 12th to 18th range. Like I said, if you want to go a little bit contrarian in GPP, you don't need to load up on everyone inside the top 10 to be contrarian. But if you were to take, say, 3 drivers in your lineup that were starting, let's just say 5th to 10th, that's going to be a contrarian way to go. Another contrarian way would be leave, like I said before, leave quite a bit of salary on the table. I think you can go that route as well. Like I said, there's some lineups I have left 2,000 or 3,000 on the table just to try and be different. I mean, if you use all of your salary and you get Logano, Hamlin, Blaney, and Busch, and then fill in the other 2 drivers, and you're only leaving 100 or 200, there's a very good chance, especially if you're in the 150 max, the 20 max contest, that there's going to be a lot of people with the exact same lineup as you. So you're going to end up splitting. I mean, not saying it can't win, but if you do win, it's going to, you're going to have to split those winnings with a bunch of your closest friends on DraftKings or FanDuel, whichever site you're playing today. Obviously, when in terms of scoring, your DraftKings scoring, the place differential is going to be a little bit more key. So if you want to take a few more chances with drivers starting top 10 that you think will finish top 10, let's say Keselowski starting 2nd, super contrarian, Truex starting 3rd, not really on board there, but like Kyle Busch starting 9th, Boyer, Alex Bowman starting 8th, William Byron starting 7th. You wanted to maybe go Byron Bowman. That's a strategy I would definitely try a little bit more and have a little bit more exposure to guys that starting closer in the field on FanDuel, just because you get 50% of the points for place differential that you do on DraftKings. So it's just kind of a strategy. And I talk about that throughout the year as well, where there's more Dominator points and place differential points on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, you can definitely look at guys starting that you think are going to finish. You're looking at more of a strategy where you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in your final lineup. You want them finishing there, whereas on DraftKings you can get away with a bunch of drivers in your lineup throughout the year that finish outside the top 10, but if they're starting 30th, they're getting those 20 bonus points. It can definitely make up that points per dollar value there as well. So it's just one thing to keep in mind playing daily fantasy NASCAR is it's kind of like PGA. I compare it a lot to PGA, where every week's a different course, different length, different field of players. It's the same field pretty much every week in NASCAR, but the track is different almost every week. Every mile and a half track is also different from another mile and a half track. There's different things in there. Some drivers do well on some versus do well on others. Some drivers do well on road courses. Some drivers do well, they struggle on other courses. So on other tracks. So one thing just to keep in mind every week is just be open to a changing strategy. Even early in the week, before we have our qualifying practice times are out there, there's definitely a bunch of core drivers that I'm going to narrow down and I'm going to talk about who've done good at the track type, who did good on the 2019 package last year, etc. But as soon as qualifying comes, you get 4 top drivers that qualify near the back of the pack, and they give you that elite place differential. That just changes everything. So it's really important to not only learn about the track early in the week, get your core drivers down that you like or going to pay attention to during practice and qualifying, and pay attention to their times to either enhance where you had them or to confirm, okay, maybe I'm going to fade them this week. But definitely stay open, because once qualifying comes in, that changes everything. Because you're going to get a guy, let's say Kyle Busch was going to start 8th this week, or at a mile any given week. He was going to start 8th, and then all of a sudden he fails inspection or something, doesn't get out there, or blows a tire at the start of qualifying, and all of a sudden he's qualifying 40th. He's going to be, especially in if you're playing cash games, he's going to be 80-90% owned. And if you don't have shares of that in cash games, you're probably going to be behind when you're talking an elite driver coming from the back of the pack that doesn't even need a top 10 to really hit value, but definitely has that top 10, top 5 winning upside coming from the back. So very important to pay attention to early in the week, during practices, during qualifying, and then that's kind of why I want to have this live show on Sunday morning, just to talk about what went on through the weekend, what's changed from the articles that came out early in the week, what we talked about in chat early in the week. So it's definitely a full week. Pay attention, but if you don't have as much research time, as some of us, me and Dane for sure, definitely get over and get a subscription. We got free trials over at RotoPros. We got free trials over at Daily Fantasy Sports Rankings. My sheets are fairly cheap, and I'm accessible in chat, in multiple different chats, to answer questions, and then Twitter. So definitely hit me up. I'm not seeing any more questions here, so I'm just going to kind of wrap things up. I wanted to talk a little bit of strategy. I talked about a few of my core plays. Like I said, I'm going to go over them one more time. Starting at the top, Logano and Hamlin definitely up there for me, starting 13th and 18th. And then Blaney in the mid-tier. I like Blaney and Kurt Busch's core plays, starting 14th and 17th. Down at the bottom for value, I like Jimmy Johnson starting 16th, Eric Jones starting 12th, and Austin Dillon starting 15th. So if you have any questions after the video is over, like I said, definitely hit me up, Daily Fantasy Sports Rankings in the chat, over at RotoPros in the chat, on Twitter, in the Slack chat for the Patreon. Hit me up in a Patreon message in the messaging below. Leave a comment below in this video. If not, good luck today. Let's go make some lineups. Let's get some green screens, and let's crush this week 1 and go into Daytona 500 with a nice big bankroll, and we'll start maxing out. Good luck, everyone.